I am delighted to welcome the Honorable Floyd Griffin to Georgia College along with his family, guests, and friends of the university. Now, Mr. Griffin is a man of many accomplishments, to say the least. He's been a senator, a mayor, a businessman, an Army colonel, a helicopter pilot, a soldier, a student, a teacher, a coach, a husband, and a father. The successes he has made in life, despite the challenges of his times, are truly remarkable. Mr. Griffin is an individual that grew up in the South, who served the nation in Vietnam. He is a graduate of Tuskegee University and the Florida Institute of Technology. He is also one of the first African Americans to run for office and win in a majority white district for state senate, later becoming the first African American mayor of Milledgeville. Through his career, Mr. Griffin has made profound contributions to this community and to the nation. Alongside him has been his faithful companion and wife, the former Natalie Huffman, their two sons, and now four very distinguished grandsons, three of whom are here today, I think. We're glad y'all are so glad to have y'all here today. Now, Mr. Griffin is an individual that truly embodies the essence of what we talk about when we talk about in the liberal arts areas for our students. When we talk about the ability of a liberal arts student to face life's challenge and embrace a future that is uncertain, Mr. Griffin is an example of the kind of life and career we hope that we're preparing students for. In his service to the nation, he's been a cadet, a helicopter pilot in Vietnam, and an Army colonel. He also found success as a businessman and as an accomplished author. His time as a football coach at Winston-Salem State University earned the team 2 championships. And while at Wake Forest, Mr. Griffin served as an assistant professor of military science and directed the ROTC program. After returning home to his hometown of Milledgeville, he taught classes at our very own J. Whitney Bunting College of Business, and throughout his distinguished career, he's always been a very giving person with a deep commitment to public service. Today, Georgia College is honored to receive some of the special artifacts and personal archives that spanned a remarkable 73 years of servant leadership, spanning from his early college days during the Civil Rights Movement to the 23 years spent in the U.S. Army. We're delighted to receive his personal collection of documents, photographs, and memorabilia, and some of them are on display over here, and I encourage you after we've had a time here to talk a little bit about Floyd and his accomplishments, that you go over here and look at some of these things. I think I'm seeing a mighty younger man up there. You know, there is a great need for the preservation for spaces that can properly display the special collections and documents and stories and writings of the African American community and people of color. And it's critically important that we find ways to tell these stories. And this is important for the communities we serve, and it's important for the state of Georgia. And therefore, I am very delighted that Georgia College can provide an essential role in the telling of this story. Finally, on a personal note, let me say to Floyd how much I admire you and how much I admire your service to Georgia College, to the state of Georgia, and to indeed the nation. It's an honor to call you a friend of the college, whether in the halls of the Pentagon, serving as an Army staffer, in the air as a helicopter pilot, on the playing field as a football coach, in the halls of Georgia legislature as a state senator, on the local streets of Milledgeville as a mayor, in the classroom as a teacher, or in your office as a businessman. Mr. Griffin has always been dedicated to that noble calling of public service. And I know that I speak for many of us here today when I describe Mr. Griffin as a powerful inspiration for all of our students, and in particular for our underrepresented groups, so that they too can dare to dream big and dare to chart a future of success. Floyd, I greatly value your role in creating important links and connections between our campus and the communities around us, and many thanks for serving as an ambassador, an advocate, a vocal supporter, and a friend of Georgia College. Thank you. Thank you so much for honoring us with these, some of the artifacts of your history. We will cherish them and hold them dear here at the university. So thank you so much, and we're going to sign some paperwork here in front of you as a historic, indicating this historic occasion. So please come up.
I like for my wife, children, and grandchildren to come up and stand behind us. They want to take the All right. Okay, troops, fall in here. Come on. Now this is Colonel Griffin, stationed at Fort Bragg, active duty, but he still doesn't outrank me. Okay, they asked us to come up so we can get a family picture here. And what I'd like to do, someone was asking me, was this going to be a surprise for my next political move? So what I'm going to do is just like the President of the United States does. I'm going to give one of these to each one of my grandsons. Now, one of my grandsons could not make it at the last minute because he's in Birmingham working, so give that to him. So all of that means is that they have to do better than their grandfather. They call me Opa. So that they have to do better. Thank you, Bill. At the same time, Dr. Gorman, you know that I have been a supporter of Georgia College and State University over the years. I'll talk a little bit about that. Serving in several capacities here, and we have supported not only with our time and effort, but also our resources. So Natalie and I like to make a contribution to the special collection of $2,000.
Well, thank you so much for that, and we will make sure that goes to taking care of the special collections. I really do appreciate that. Well, at this time, I'm going to invite Dr. Chandra Walker, who is our interim director of the Russell Library, to come forward and say a few words. Dr. Walker.
Good afternoon. My name is Chandra Walker, and I currently serve as the interim director of Russell Library. So on behalf of the library and our Special Collections Department, I am simply ecstatic to receive the Honorable Floyd L. Griffin Jr. Collection. And as Dr. Dorman stated, to my left you'll see just a few samples. There's much more that we have and that will be on display throughout the years here at the college. The collection spans the adult portion of Mr. Griffin's life and contains a mix of both personal and professional pieces, such as artifacts from his time in the Army, as well as memorabilia from varied political service, which includes his service as a state senator, as a candidate for lieutenant governor, and as mayor, as the first African-American mayor of Milledgeville. We are particularly excited about this collection because it is our first set of mayoral papers and the first set of papers from a state senator. It will also serve as a complement to our existing political collections, which include the Carl Vinson, Paul Coverdale, and William Ursery collections. Additionally, it adds diversity to our special collections holdings, and we hope it is the first of many similar collections that we will acquire in the future. So without further delay, I would like to briefly introduce today's speakers, who will come in the order that is printed on the program. Our first speaker will be Ms. Beverly Calhoun, who is a community activist, childhood friend, and political advisor to Mr. Griffin. Ms. Calhoun will be followed by Mr. James Lumford, head basketball coach at Georgia Military College Prep School and former head basketball coach at both Baldwin County and Twiggs County High Schools, and also a high school classmate of Mr. Griffin. Next, we'll hear from Mr. Bill Hayes, who is the former head coach, football coach at Winston-Salem State University and North Carolina A&T University, as well as former athletic director at North Carolina Central University, Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University, and Winston-Salem State University. Next, we'll hear from the Honorable Rusty Kidd, former Georgia State Representative, followed by Dr. Nerese Price, Superintendent of Baldwin County Public Schools, and then finally we'll have some remarks from the Honorable Floyd L. Griffin, Jr. So please, if you would, receive Ms. Beverly Calhoun. Thank
you. Good evening. First, I would like to congratulate and applaud Georgia College and State University for this meritorious occasion to so honor the Honorable Floyd L. Griffin, Jr. In this, his lifetime. Such an occasion as this is good for our community, bridging the divide and bringing about healing in times like these. This is history for our nation, our state, and local community. In other words, all hope is not gone. Respect is not an automatic, but yet earned and has no color. You know, I believe in the power of prayer. I asked God the first part of this year. Some people make resolutions, but I don't believe in that. I asked God to bring about a movement in our community to create unity, peace, love, acceptance, and understanding. Little did I know that this project was being born. And here we are. A humble beginning for our community's divide. The first African Americans' lifetime achievements being displayed with other American achievers at Georgia College and State University in Milledgeville, Georgia. I thank you for thinking it not robbery to be here, but I also thank Almighty God for this day. You know, in my lifetime, being active in this community, I realize that there are some leaders that are selected, there are some that are elected, and there are some that are chosen. I see my friend and a friend or fellow man as chosen. And let me tell you why I say he's chosen. In my formative years, and in his too, he's a little bit older than I am. but that don't mean nothing. Okay. I watched his father train him to serve. Some of you all might not remember, we didn't have refrigerators, we had ice boxes. Who brought us the ice to put in our ice box? Mr. Floyd and his sons. When we didn't have gas stoves and all the luxuries that we had now, we had wood stoves. Who brought us wood to keep warm and to cook? Mr. Floyd and his boys. Who started hiring when job market was so terrible? Mr. Floyd opened a dry cleaners and gave our folks jobs. And when you went there, who did you see? Those boys. Not overlooking Deborah now, but those boys. After his service to his country, and he came back, and I know out of all that travel, all that experience and knowledge that he gained, when he came back, he came back to run a funeral home with his father, still serving as funeral director and assistant. Then Baldwin County, through the Chamber of Commerce in the city of Milledgeville, pulled together a cross-section of people in the community in what they referred to as tomorrow's leaders. Remember Floyd? Floyd and I were graduates of that first year class. And did we bump heads? We bumped heads, but we knew each other, we knew where we came from, and we knew what we represented. After we bumped heads a few times and disagreed, we realized that we had an extra bond. We could disagree and still get along. And I think at that point, that's when we gained our strongest bond as friends. We could respect one another and disagree. And I disagreed with him a lot of times, but because I believed in him, the man that I knew him from, childhood, the man that I knew he was, because I believed in him, I said, well, I don't agree with this. I said, but he always allowed me to speak my piece, and I allowed him to speak his. But if we disagreed, I said, but if you want to do it, because I believe in you, I'm with you 100%. And I'm going to do what I can do to make it happen. And we have that kind of bond. There's nothing that we can disagree on that we can't talk about. And, you can't find, in this life, I've learned in my senior years that when you can find a real woman, a real man, and a true friend, you better hold on to it. And I think I have that in not only now, Floyd now, but Natalie is great too. Because beside every good man, there's a good woman. Okay? All right. This display today will be an undeniable testament of the Honorable Floyd Griffin Jr.'s lifetime experiences as an African American achiever in this America. In other words, his productivity and not a false image. No longer will we have to answer questions, who is he? Why is he so honorable? Why you demand that we respect him? Now, you can now come and see for yourself. Seeing is believing. Our youth can see, yes, it is possible. We can receive if we achieve. I'm proud at this, your day, Floyd, for your honesty, being truthful, compassionate, not self-serving, but true to America. And I finally understand today what you mean when you say you're feeling fantabulous. You deserve it. You deserve it. Thank you.
Well, Floyd, when I talked to Floyd about coming here, he gave me a directive like he does everybody. He says, you got 3 minutes. And I told my wife, I said, I haven't known Floyd to do anything in 3 minutes. And he gives me 3 minutes. But Floyd is a classmate. We say we finished Baldwin. We finished Body High School, 1962. It was just a great school system with great teachers, and I still think Floyd and I can remember those teachers and remember what they gave us. And whatever Floyd gets, or I get, or anybody gets, is from the training that we got from home, from school, which is very important. I remember Floyd from the Heights. See, everybody has got all these upper level stories. I remember Floyd being the Heights with Mr. Griffin, who is still one of my heroes. Mr. Griffin is probably the most humble, hard-working guy. He and his wife were running businesses before we knew black folks could run business. And my mother used to go get her hair fixed out there in the Heights, and she couldn't. When she left the state, she had to stop there at the Griffins to get her hair done. And Floyd was there working. Mr. Griffin taught all of us a lot of things about achieving. From that, I know him in high school. High school, he was my quarterback. He was a leader. I couldn't run too fast, too far, because he couldn't throw too far. But I always tried to make sure I was in the area. But the thing about him is, he always got it there, like he's done everything in his life. He's always been an achiever. He was a leader in school. Everybody looked up to him. He was a hard worker. I told his brother this a while ago that, his brother said just because he's older, that don't mean he's the smartest. He's right. From that, he went to college at Tuskegee. Not surprised that, he ended up with 2 degrees. Not surprised that he ended up, really surprised in military. But, when he told me he was flying helicopters when he came home one day, I couldn't believe that. But as time has passed, I found out that just like he threw that ball, he could do what he wanted to do. And he's become a colonel. He just did a great job. And I just tried to go down and probably try to remember some of the things about him. And I just think this is great. And I think this is a great opportunity, not only for him, but for this community. I agree with Ms. Calhoun. I think that, we need to work together. This is a great community. Millersville is a great community, a great place. I'm one of the few people that work on one side of town and work on the other side of town. But both sides of town are trying to do the right thing, and that's so very important. Probably the only thing he did wrong at Tuskegee was John Q. I didn't get a chance to get to him, but he went on and joined and has, I let him wear that purple stuff every once in a while. So what we try to do is coexist. He and I are going to coexist a little bit more because, Floyd, I'm finally going to retire. I'm retired working now. I'll be retired after a while. He was senator, not surprised. Mayor, not surprised. Just a leader every way he's been, not surprised. Because like Ms. Carroll again, she said it best. He was kind of taught that. A lot of us were taught that. There's a lot of people in this community. I'm just so glad, that Georgia College has, we can remember Georgia College as being a tough place. I got my master's here, and, I was one of the first groups to come through here, minority, so it was a little different. And I'm just so proud of that, and I'm so proud that Georgia College and GMC and all the other schools have come so far. I think that that's, again, can help our community. I think as I finish, most of you don't know, my wife knows, because she hears it all the time. I'm kind of a historian. I believe in history. I sit at the computer and read as many books as I can. And there's just been a lot of great men that have come through here, Milledgeville, who are black. You know, I went through my selective list. My first guy was Dr. B.J. Simmons, who was the first black doctor here, who's buried over there now. He was an outstanding gentleman, outstanding person. So we've had great guys in that area. And a lot of guys you guys wouldn't think of. Sam Barlow. Sam Barlow saved the Capitol when it burned. He was a black guy who just did a great thing for the community. But both of these guys wanted to help the community, wanted to make things better, and to just make sure that they committed. My favorite guy, my wife would probably tell you, is Reverend Wilkes Flagg. Reverend Wilkes Flagg was Floyd and James Lunsford and all of us. He gave us the guts. You know, he was a slave who paid, who brought his family out of slavery, who was a blacksmith, who started churches, who started his own business, who was just a tremendous guy. And when he went to church at First Baptist, and by the way, we had the First Baptist minister over at Flags for our birthday, I thought that was tremendous. Again, that's the coming together of community, and that makes a lot of difference. But when Reverend Flagg was committed to doing the right thing, and I think that Floyd could have gone anywhere, could have been anywhere. I've been amazed that, you know, not only is he running for your own, he learned how to be an embalmer, which is his way, because he wanted to make sure he can direct people. So he wanted to make sure that he knows what's going on. So he's going to make sure that he can do that. He told me, Lump, I'm certified. So I think that's great. The biggest thing this is going to do, though, that he and I talk about all the time, that everybody talk about all the time, the thing that's so very important. I want to thank Floyd Griffin for showing us how to succeed. Thank you.
Good afternoon. It is an honor to be here in the great state of Georgia, in the town of Milledgeville, to be with my good friend, Floyd Griffin. Now, it's not every day that a father will leave his grandchildren and his children at home on Father's Day to come and be with a friend. That's what I did. I thought about Floyd Griffin a lot on my way here as I drove down yesterday. Amazing. A lot of energy, a lot of initiative, loyal, willingness to learn, born leader, creative, great manager of men, highly intelligent and tough. You know, when I met Floyd Griffin, he came to North Carolina back 40 years ago, I think it was. He was in charge of the ROTC program at Wake Forest University and at Winston-Salem State University. Floyd's mission was to build an ROTC program at Wake Forest University and Winston-Salem State University. Now, what he needed to build it with was the best and the brightest young men. At the same time, he was charged with building the ROTC. I got my first head football coaching job at Winston-Salem State. I had just come from Wake Forest University, where I integrated the Atlantic Coast Conference in sport of football. So now I am the head football coach at Winston-Salem State. Now, I got good players, but I didn't have a staff. Didn't have enough money to give me all the necessities in order to win. So here comes Floyd to me. And we introduced each other like yesterday, seemed like yesterday. And he told me what he was looking for. And immediately I said, well, yeah, this is it. I said, I tell you what we'll do. I will let you have my team as a part of your ROTC program, and because now you got the best and the brightest when you got my football team. I said, but you got to agree that you're going to help me coach them. And what happened as a result of that was during the summers, we had the best conditioned team in America, I believe, because we would take our team to Fort Bragg. Floyd came up with the idea that we would do football training at Fort Bragg. Only Floyd would think of that. So we go to Fort Bragg and we blow all the other ROTC programs out of the water because we had the biggest, the strongest, and the fastest. So Floyd's career went to the top like overnight. The ROTC soared at both universities, both Wake Forest and Winston-Salem State. And by the way, along the way, a team that I inherited that was 1-10 went 11-0. That was the first year. Then we went 11-0 the second year. Now, I must admit that I had to teach Floyd how to coach football. Now, I never had to teach Floyd how to manage men. But the little nuances about coaching and about blocking and about tackling and all those kinds of things, we spent a lot of nights, 12, 1 o'clock, me teaching Floyd. But you know the strange thing about it? After I worked with Floyd for a few months, he wanted my damn job. You know, he came in, you know, he likes to pull it. He came in one day and he said, Coach, you know, I've been thinking. I said, yeah, Floyd? He said, well, you know, I think it's about time that I start calling the plays. Amazing man. Incredible. So needless to say, I'm happy to be here today. And I'm happy, Floyd gave me 3 minutes, by the way. I'm happy to see Milledgeville, Georgia, do what I know my state hadn't done. Because we got talent galore. And I really think I led the way. But I don't have this in North Carolina, Floyd, so kind of close. But I am so proud of Floyd. I'm so proud of Natalie. They worked extremely hard in our community. They believe it. Floyd is in the Hall of Fame where we start coaching football. It's just amazing what this young man has been able to do. And by the way, before I leave, let me introduce my wife, Carolyn. Would you stand, please? Yeah, she was with us when we went through all of this. Hey, thank you, Georgia College, and thank you, Milledgeville, for honoring my friend.
Thank you, sir. I too got a call and said, hey, can you come over and say something nice about Floyd for 3 minutes? And I said, I think you got the wrong number. Who you trying to call? If you're trying to call somebody kid, you got to go 6 feet down to get the right one. But no, my father's known as Senator Kidd, goes way back with the Slaters, with the Griffins, and he and Floyd got to be good friends, I think, when Floyd came back as a veteran. My father was a veteran. I think they talked a lot back in those days, those early days, and my daddy realized real early that this young man had an interest in public service. not so much as getting elected, but wanting to do something for the public, do something good for the community, for the black community, for the white community, for the community in large. And so they had plans together and worked plans together. And I think that's one of the reasons that my father reached out to Floyd in the 90s and said, hey, why don't you come run for the seat that I used to hold, the state senate seat. And so his first backer and strongest backer was my white father, Cold Kid, back in black man Floyd Griffin, for the state senate, and he won the state senate seat. Served there for a good 4 years, I think. I was a lobbyist at the time, and I have to admit I got more good votes out of him than I did than my father when he was there. But Floyd and I got to be good friends, and we threw barbs back and forth to each other as politicians do, but could always tell when we were on the same side because he'd come by the office once or twice a week and drink coffee. When we were on the opposite side, he went down the street on the other side of the street. I'd see him walking down the other side of the street. And one time when that issue got resolved, whichever way it got resolved, he'd come back on my side of the street, come back in and drink coffee. So we were on the same side on several times. But let me say something that I heard him say to a group of people one day, and it didn't sit with me right the day he said it and the way I heard it. And I thought about it a little later. He addressed a group of middle-aged and people close to our age. And he said, my name is not Mr. Griffin. My name is Colonel. My name is Mayor. My name is Senator. It is not Mr. Griffin. And when I heard that, I said, and that's just Floyd's ego eating him up again. And then it was weeks or so later, and I'm, driving somewhere, and for some reason I'm thinking about Floyd, something bad he did somewhere, in my opinion anyway. And I said, he said that not from an ego standpoint, but he said that, and people ought to listen, because he earned the right to say that. He earned the right to be a colonel. He earned the right to be a mayor. He earned the right to be a senator. So he earned the right and worked hard to be all of those things. So it wasn't his ego, it was the fact he said, people, I went out and worked hard, earned those titles. You can go out and work hard and earn your titles also, whatever that may be. So Floyd, it's been a pleasure working with you, his friends and his opponents. We've thrown barbs back and forth, but there was never serious barbs. And once the issue was over and resolved, we back shaking hands, and he's back in the office, hitching up his pants and drinking his coffee, and so forth. But it's a pleasure and an honor for me to call you my friend. And it was a super honor for you to call me and ask me to try to find something nice to say for 3.5 minutes. Lord, congratulations to you, congratulations to your wife, congratulations to your family. Honor well deserved. Thank you for being in Millersville.
Good afternoon. Thank you all very much for the opportunity to say a few words about this incredible individual who has made an impactful difference in our community for many, many years. So it is indeed an honor and a pleasure to be here today to be a witness to history as the Honorable Floyd L. Griffin Jr. places his documents, his artifacts, and memorabilia in the hands of Georgia College. The Honorable Floyd L. Griffin Jr. has such a lengthy career serving our community that I'm not entirely sure how to best highlight his achievements. Do we talk about his work as the first African-American mayor of our city here in Milledgeville, and how he has helped to shape our town into the place we all love today? Or do we talk about the first African-American elected as a state senator from a rural district representing a majority white legislative district? Do we talk about his tenure as a state senator and how he worked hard to provide a better government and better lives, not just for this community, but for the people all over Georgia? Do we talk about the bravery he showed as a Vietnam helicopter pilot and rising the rank of colonel over his long and storied career? Or do we talk about him being the first African American to run for lieutenant governor in our state's history? Or do we talk about the fact that he has been helping to run a business that has become a staple of our community here in Milledgeville? History studies the past, but is still the greatest indicator and predictor of future behavior. It is the closest thing we have to a crystal ball and being able to have some reasonable prediction of what might happen in the future. But my question is, what do we learn from history? What do we learn from this collection? Do we make and repeat the same mistakes? Or do we come up with viable solutions to today's very complex problems? But that is what makes this special presentation today so invaluable. The value of this collection cannot be measured in dollars and cents. Yet the real value is the fact that we will have access to documents that may help us continue to navigate this complicated political world we have in our lives. This may be the window as to how we get things done for the people. I'm sure many of us have met the Honorable Floyd L. Griffin Jr. at different times throughout his career, and I've come to know him and know him in many different ways. I got to meet him 3 years ago when he walked into my office, and I must tell you, I don't get intimidated easily, but he was intimidating when he walked into my office because he asked me, "Why are you here?" And when you think about that, took me aback for a minute, and I responded to him, "I'm here to make a difference." And I believe that my skill sets are aligned with the work that needs to be here. And I think after that, we had a lengthy 1 hour, an hour and a half conversation, and I think that we've been able to come together to do the work that needs to be done here in our community for the public school system. So, although he has led many different lives at different times across his career, there's one constant that keeps resonating throughout, and that resonated with me when he met with me in my office, and that is leadership. The Honorable Floyd L. Griffin has been a pioneer leader for our community, our state, and our nation since he was a young man. Throughout it all, not only did he show what he was capable of doing, but he showed that even despite of the conditions of your birth, your skin color, your station in life, or whatever other label this world tries to give you, you can overcome and be successful. That is why I know this collection of papers will have an incredible impact on all of the people who get the chance to see it, but especially our students. How fascinating will it be for our students to study the life of the Honorable Floyd L. Griffin Jr.? To study the life of a leader who broke barriers of being the first in so many areas. How tremendously inspirational for our students that they can learn that you can do multiple jobs and do them well, that you can serve your country and serve your country well, and you can even represent the people of this great community and represent them well. How incredible it must be for the Honorable Floyd L. Griffin Jr. to step out there in an era where people of color face so many obstacles and roadblocks, and yet he overcame, and yet he continued to serve in an honorable manner. This collection is a living history, offering unique insights into the stories of the past. Also, it provides the hope for the future. It gives hope to the youngest among us that they too can achieve so much in life. It gives hope to those of us to enter the real world able to see the power that education and hard work can have in both our personal and our professional lives. And it gives hope to us all that there are still leaders in our world who wake up every day and tirelessly commit and give of themselves unselfishly. These documents represent not only his incredible life, but it also represents for all of us the limitless possibilities that we can all achieve. I am so excited for our students because I believe that it will show them that they can achieve anything they set their mind to. What a glorious day for our community here in Milledgeville and for Georgia College. How excited I am for the future leaders of our great community to have such a great role model right here in our midst. And I have challenged our retired Honorable Floyd L. Griffin Jr. to join me in the journey of making sure that we create a world-class public school system right here in Baldwin County. And he has graciously agreed to take that journey with me. So I want you to know that we're in the process of starting a foundation, and he has agreed that when the paperwork goes through and we officially become a foundation, that he will chair that foundation for us, and that he will also invite others to join him in this journey of providing funding for students who are first-generation college students and might not be able to go to college because they do not have the financial resources. So our goal is to provide and make sure that our students are able to become productive, contributing member of this society. So with that, I say thank you. Thank you, Colonel, Pilot, State Senator, Mayor, author, husband, father, grandfather, businessman, and friend.
What about just Floyd? Well, first of all, I'm gonna tell each one of you, no, I'm not gonna tell you anything. I'm gonna buy y'all a stopwatch. And it's gonna stop on 3 minutes. But really, I set it for 5 because being in the funeral business, you know, people get up and make remarks and the family say 3 minutes. Well, when I'm planning approximately how much long that funeral is gonna last, Dr. Gurman, I say at least 5 minutes. But y'all have gone over that. Now, the president doesn't have all day to sit around here and wait. Well, we were a couple of minutes late starting, so we're on time. But Dr. Gorman, I want to thank you and Georgia College and State University for and your staff, Nancy and can't think now, I should write these names down. Holly and everybody who's worked so diligently to make this day possible. Thank you very much. When I came back to Milledgeville about 27 years ago, I was welcomed wholeheartedly by a lot of people, black, white, purple, green. And here at Georgia College with Dr. Spear was here as the president at the time. And he asked me to serve on the foundation at that time. And then the next thing I know, I was serving on the first athletic committee, and on and on. So I have a special piece here at Georgia College because I taught a business course here, a couple of classes. So thank you very much. Now, I can't go down. I was gonna, if y'all hadn't taken that 10 minutes each, I was gonna say something about each one of you. But let me just say something about Bill Hayes now. Bill Hayes can twist the truth. Now, Bill and I, you know, I was at Wake Forest and Winston-Salem State for 4 years. I went there on a 3-year assignment and ended up staying 4 years. I asked the Army to leave me that 4th year where we can go and win another 11-0 and a championship ring, and I'm wearing one of those now. So it was because Bill and Carolyn, and we're very, very close friends. We know the family and so forth. And Rusty, see, let me tell y'all something about politics. You learn early on to keep your friends close and your enemies closer, okay? Rusty, where you from? No, that's the type of relationship we have. And as he stated, my father was very close to his grandparents. My father, I can remember him taking me in their home right down here on Columbia Street, not too far away. When we were growing up, my daddy used to do a few odd jobs for them. And his father, Cover Kid, is one of the reasons why I became the first African-American senator in that district and the first African-American in modern times to win in a majority white district. And I was so naive coming out of the military. See, this only happened, I think it was 4 years after I had been out of the service. I didn't go and look at the history to see if any of that stuff was taking place. And I didn't know anything about it until I won the election, and the Union Recorder in that story is stated that Floyd Griffin was the first African-American in modern times, in any time, to win at a majority white legislative district. And that was amazing because it took the help of a lot of people to make this happen. And Cover, behind the scenes, see, Cover, what they call him, the white fox? Silver fox, yeah. And he was a silver fox too, you know. But he wanted, and Rusty and some of the rest of you know why he wanted me to win that election. Because he wanted somebody else to lose. So, but let me just say, see, I didn't call it a name, you know, who that somebody. But let me wrap this up because there's nothing I can say that would be any better than the individuals who spoke and the collection itself. Okay? But I do want to quote Dr. Martin Luther King in his book, Strength to Love. And when he wrote that one of the most agonizing problems within our human experience is that few, if any of us, live to see our fondest hopes fulfilled. Guess what? All you got to do is look, or when you get a chance, to look at the collection, to read my bio, to read my book. You know, it's no way in the world that a little black boy from Millersville, Georgia, at the time that I came up, could ever dream that there would be a colonel in the United States Army. To fly helicopters in Vietnam. To be just a state senator, don't make any difference representing a black community or white community, or be the mayor of Millersville. my hopes and dreams when I was growing up, I wanted to be a contractor, construction. And I did want to go in the military. But I didn't know that much about officership and et cetera. So one reason I chose to go to Tuskegee is because Tuskegee had a construction program at ROTC. And I knew I could get a commission. So that was part of my hopes. I didn't think about wanting to get in politics until I had been in the Army, and I think I was a major. And I said, one day when I get out of the military, I want to give back, and I want to get into politics. But I never dreamed. I said I wanted to be mayor somewhere, but I had never ever dreamed about coming back to Millersville. I didn't want to come back here. So you never say never, okay? But I did come back. And see, when Nathan and I bought our house, I said I want to buy a house where I can either run for mayor or run for a county position. I didn't want to buy a house in the city, in the county, and I didn't have the opportunity to run for a city election. And I'd be dogged. Mayor Ball was in office. He was going to stay in there forever. So I couldn't run for mayor at the time. And then Culver asked me, Senator Kidd asked me to run for Senate. Because, see, when I came back, Culver, and I'm just reading why I'm calling him Culver. I called him Senator Kidd, but I'm just telling you why I'm calling him Culver. He invited me up to the Capitol. He said, I want you to come up here about 4:30, search and search the date, and we're going to have a little chit-chat. Now, Russell, you know where I'm going because you know what happened with that chit-chat. He went in there and pulled out that bottom drawer and took that Crown Royal out, which we were not supposed to be drinking in the Capitol. And that's where we had that discussion. Now, the reason Rusty talked about that calling me Colonel, Mayor, and so forth, he left one piece out. I said, I prefer you to call me Floyd or Colonel blah, 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 instead of calling me Mr. Because, see, if Senator Kidd walked in here today, y'all wouldn't call him Mr. Kidd. If Mayor Ball walked in here today, you would call him Dr. Ball or Mayor Ball. Okay? Now, Floyd Griffin has gone through hell being just your mayor. Okay? So, I don't mind, and I told some of the people on the staff, say, don't call me Mr., call me Floyd, or one of the other titles, but please don't call me Mr. Okay, let me finish this up by saying that I could not have gotten to where I am today without Nathalie. Stand up now, please. We got married as I was finishing college, so she's been with me my whole career. Now, my whole collection, and especially the paperback stuff, the articles, the newspaper articles, the speeches and so forth, Nathalie cataloged that stuff. And a lot of times I didn't know she was doing it. She put them in binders. Anytime she saw anything that my name was on, she took it, and she put it in a binder, okay? And it was all stacked up over there, not stacked up, but located in the house. And so we started talking about what we're going to do with all of this stuff. Because the children, they don't want all of that, and the grandchildren, some of it they'll want, but not all of it. But see, several years ago, Georgia College asked me, would I do this? And I was busy, and I just said, the heck with it. But when I decided to retire, we decided that we needed to do something with it. So I called and talked to Nancy, and she was all excited. I said, well, you haven't seen it yet. You know, we're still excited. So Nat and I got a lot of this together, invited them out. Holly and Nancy came out, and I think Dr. Walker came out, and they looked at this stuff. And I called it junk, and they said they wanted it. And they came out and packed it up, and they packed up so much stuff. I went in there and I told Nat, I shouldn't say it like that. I said, gee whiz, I don't see some of my underwear. But they got everything, and here we are today. I want to thank all of you all for coming out. This is history in the making. It ain't about Floyd, Mayor, Colonel. It's about us as a community. Dr. Price, I will honor my commitment. And not only I will give you my time, Nathalie and I will make the first substantial contribution, donation, that means money, folks, to setting up the foundation. We're going to be asking some of you to participate in giving. We probably be asking some of you to serve on the board, but you come on the board, you're going to have to ante up. Okay? So if I ask you, if you feel that you can't serve and come up with, we'll set a price of about $100,000 each. But I didn't say we would give it $100,000 by no means. But we will do that because I want to dedicate the rest of my life in trying to make the public school system the best we can here in Baldwin County and in our region also. I want a child to look at this exhibit and say that I can do better than Floyd Griffin. If they look at it and don't say that, they don't need to see it. They don't need to read some of those documents. You don't need to invite me out to the schools and talk to them. I can not only be a colonel, I can be a general. I can not only be a senator, I can be a governor or even be a president. I can not only be a mayor, I can be a state senator, a state representative. That is what this is all about, people. So we're a little bit over time, but thank you so much. Thank you for my wife, my children, and my grandchildren. They have made me proud of them. They are out doing their own thing, and they are doing well. And thank you for my friends, and I think I have a lot of friends in here. And if you're not my friend, I'd like for you to become a friend. Thank you very much, sir.